Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Aquaman Deep Dives, and Superman Up in the Sky, and Batman Gotham Knights, and all these other things. These are basically the DC digital firsts, and I can honestly say that I am highly disappointed. Yeah. So look, I'd actually forgotten that these things were coming out because I remember reading a little something about it. I didn't go into a whole lot of detail with it, but they're like, oh, we're going to release some digital firsts. No, they didn't. These are called first time on digitals. That's what they're called. These are basically little 99-cent US price stories that are released by DC Comics that are just, these are stories that I've seen before. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I do not usually buy the giant sized 100-page issues and spectaculars and stuff like that because I think that they're just not good for business. I mean, just it is what it is. DC has made a lot of mistakes, all right? I mean, there's a reason why the most popular comic book characters in the history of comic books simply aren't selling anymore. You know what I'm saying? Batman's making a pretty big return, but I mean, it's Batman, so I mean, whatever. Anyway, the idea is that freaking they should be doing a lot better. But DC keeps on making horrible mistake after horrible mistake. And one of the greatest mistakes, in my personal opinion, showing that DC is out of touch with the actual poor and working class of America, is that they decided to release comic books exclusively to Walmart. To Walmart. Yeah, if I owned a comic book store, I'd be infuriated also. Look, man, when push comes to shove, when you release a comic book exclusively to the second biggest retailer in the world, first largest physical location retailer, second only to Amazon, which is online, I'm wondering how much you support local businesses. I'm wondering how much you support specialty comic book stores who already can't survive by themselves. This is 99 cents for a, what was this, like 5, 6, 7, 8 pages? What was this, 12 pages? 16 pages. It was 16 pages. Felt like a lot less, but 16 pages. And I read this before. Of all of the 100-page spectaculars, the only one that I've actually read was the Aquaman one. And they decided to release this, a 16-page story for 99 cents. Yeah, really look into what you're about to buy. I've already read this thing. I've already read this thing. I'm sure I've got it somewhere too. I just don't feel like digging through all that to try and find it. But yeah. Now, this was a huge, huge letdown, man. Like, come on, DC. Look, you know what? Screw it. This was a fun issue, but go and get don't. Just, hey, listen. Black Manta goes into a museum. Somehow his harpoon is so weak that it barely goes through a freaking cell phone and then just stops. Or it keeps going and kills the guy, but he does it off camera. I don't know. You know, it does it off panel. Maybe. That guy's probably dead. Either way, shot the guy because he was filming him. Anyway, so he goes on and freaking steals this harpoon. It's got a magic, but it's got a curse on it. It's a reverse man. And then Aquaman just shows up, I guess, because like he's down there looking at super villain Twitter or something like that, and he puts a beating on him, and then he goes home and he returns to the king. It's actually a pretty cool story, all right? Steve Orlando on it, art by Daniel Sampere. It's a good story, all right? It's a good story. Don't get me wrong for a second. It's a really good story, and I enjoyed it the first time I read it. It's like I get like 3 pages in, I'm like, this all seems really familiar. Do I have comic book prescience? Do I have the ability to foresee the future of comic books? Because that would be the coolest power in the world. No. Forget flying, forget body armor, forget freaking, bzz, all right? Cyclops is cool, but not that cool. No. I want something I can actually use. Comic book prescience. Free comic book visions. I can actually see comic books in the future. That'd be freaking awesome. I'm saying that'd be freaking awesome. That being said, I didn't need to pay 99 cents to see it again. I really didn't. Maybe I could have investigated a little bit further and dove deeper into the Aquaman Deep Dives and all these other freaky stories and whatnot, and just said, you know what? No. I better make sure that I haven't already bought this comic book, because when I see a digital first, of course this is false advertising. It's meant to be false advertising through semantics, all right? And I've seen this before, for crying out loud. I teach English, you know what I'm saying? And on top of that, I have a degree in business with a specialty in marketing. That's exactly 100% what this is. They purposely use a term or phraseology that makes you think it's one thing, but if you try to sue them, they could say, no, 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 no. I didn't say this was a first time, release like it's never been released before. No, no, no. I said it's a digital first, meaning my intent was it was the first time it was on digital. And realistically, you sue DC, what are you going to get? You say, well, give me the rights to Wonder Woman. Isn't she one of your holy trinity? F Wonder Woman. They don't care. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. You know what? Maybe I can get Hawkman out of it. That would make me happy. Maybe they'll give me Aquaman. No, it's something they haven't made a movie for. You know what? I'll bet I could get Red Tornado. How much you want to bet I couldn't get Red Tornado? Because I'll bet you I could. Give me odds. Anyway, look, man, this is horrible that they do stuff like this. So every day they're going to release a new thing that you got to pay for, and it's something that was released exclusively for Walmart. Now, outside of the United States, this did reach comic book stores first, which made it a little bit better for us, but I still couldn't support it. Aquaman I made an exception for, and I'd probably make the exception for Hawkman also. But then again, no, probably not. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I don't know. Don't tempt me, okay? Get thee behind me, Satan. Not today. Anyway, I'm really bothered by the idea they did something like this. Because they were hoping that something like this was going to happen. A bunch of people were going to come by and be like, digital first, wow, a brand new story of so and so and so. And they click, hey, and then they get a story that they probably already read before. And it's a story that was put out to promote the biggest physical location retailer in the world. One that has put many, many, many small businesses out of business, which tells you a lot about DC Comics. And this is not a Warner Brothers decision. Let's be realistic. This didn't come from frickin' Warner Brothers. This came from DC. And this is disgusting. I've hated the idea of the 100-page giant-sized books because they do help to wreck actual small businesses, specifically comic book stores. And I am an anti-pirating, all for buying physical copies. You want to buy a digital copy, fine, buy the digital copy, but, keep the comic books alive. I've always been about that. How can I go out of my way to try and give free press to stories that are specifically written and drawn to hurt the one industry, the one business, comic book stores, local comic book stores, that have kept the big comic book publishers alive for all this time? And you could argue, well, they're not really that big. Marvel and DC are the big ones. And you want to look at that proportionally, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. You want to look at the idea that comic books don't make that much money to begin with. Who are we blaming for that? This is something that's actually genuinely making me upset. I'm really heated about this. This is something that simply should not exist. And DC damn well should have known better. And that's just the bottom line. And that was to the best of my understanding, that was a Dan DiDio decision. He chose to do this. Now that he's gone, gee, who could have planned this? Like a Jim Lee? Could this be a Jim Lee decision? At the end of the day, the first real executive decision he does is to trick people into buying local books. Look, I'm not here to sit here and start, it's this guy, it's that guy, whatever. I don't even want to do that. But like I said, I'm genuinely upset about this, and I'm not holding back, all right? I don't want to be stupid about yelling about this, but I'm serious when I say I am genuinely bothered by this. So here's my recommendation. I like to recommend books, and recommend to not get books. And here's what I'm saying. Stay far the hell away from this. It's not worth it. It's simply not worth it. And I'm going to say something really super duper controversial, and this means that nobody from DC ever wants to talk to me, then so be it, because I'm not here for DC. I'm here for the comic books, and clearly they're not here for the comic book companies. But here's my controversial thing. If DC wants to screw over local comic book stores, like my comic book store, Gotham Central Comics and Collectibles, right here in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, well then screw DC. Feel free to go and torrent this comic book and all the other digital firsts, and maybe make it a torrent first, or however else you can get your free comic books online. Okay? That's what I'm going to recommend in this particular case. DC likes to screw over the local comic book stores. Well, screw DC right back. And when they release something that, and I'm only suggesting this for these 100-page, giant-size, spectacular, Walmart exclusive, screw the world books, okay? I'm recommending for those books specifically, like this one, go ahead and get them online. You have my blessing. Because that's, you know what, fair play, dude. Hey, that's that's Mr. Terrific. That's one of DC's characters, right? Fair play, baby. Let's play. Anyway, guys, I'm out. I'm out. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.